Hello, good afternoon. This is the exam 3 about the chapter 10 and chapter 12. We are Juan Esteban Betancurth, Francisco Torres, and Madelin Jimenez. The content of this exam is divided into parts, chapter 10 and chapter 12. The first part has 3 points, and the second part has 2 points. So the first point is aspect of characteristic of address that influence the speaker's language choice. In this part, we choose the formal context and social roles. Here to clarify, address is not the only reason about why the speaker's language change. It is also the context where the speaker and address are. So even if a person is part of your family and both are in a formal context out of your house, your vocabulary, speech style could change in a formal way. For example, in some schools, the child's mother or father could be the teacher in their classroom, right? So here, the roles makes that the influence of the address, that is the mother or father of the child, um, change the language of the speakers. There is a child because the child can call um, mom or dad in the classroom because it's not house, it's a classroom. And here the roles change. Um, the second point is about the accommodation theory and audience design in own our own words. So first, the accommodation theory occurs when people begin to change their speech in a similar way that the person they are talking. This theory has 4 important points. The first one is how people accommodate. Here, depending to the context, you can choose your grammar or vocabulary in a higher or lower production and formality. Speech divergence is when you can choose your speech style or accent, even if the person who are you talking don't use this speech style or accent. The installation is when the people create a performance at the moment when they are talking, for example, a comedian. And the problem of this story is, for example, when the speaker exaggerates their speech style or accent, and the other person, um, are in uncomfortable with the conversation. And and finally, audience designs. Audience designs is when people have influence in the speech style of the speaker. For example, if the speaker are is talking with a higher status, his speech um, has more formality. And if the speaker is talking with a lower status, his speech could be more informal. So next, my partner.
Okay, so the accommodation theory can and the audience designs can be useful when we are presenting a class, for example, uh, because uh, we will be able to project ourselves more easily to our students in this case. Uh, this could this could allow us to generate um, a very impact on them in moment of the class. So this can uh, make that they understand more easily the topics that we are presenting. For example, that's the way I found the accommodation theory and audience design could fix in our in our life as a teachers. So the 3 points that I find interest in chapter 12, the first one is woman language and confidence. The first one talks about how women have a use of their language that maintain like low status in the society. So they form of speaking and the form of their speech maintain like their manner and status in the society. The second one are the interactions. We found three concepts that are interruption, and this interruption is say that men commonly interrupt more in a conversation. The second one is feedback that says that women commonly provide more information to the conversation, and the last one is the gossip that is commonly say that is the way of communication of women. That will be the 3 points.
Hello, my name is Esteban. I'm continuing with the important points of chapter 12. We have in the fourth place the linguistic construction of sexuality. The book says that the whole knowledge of sexuality, that is sex, the body of the women and men, the difference between them, is constructed by language. Why? Then, because the knowledge is transmitted by language in reading, audios or videos is shared by language. That is the linguistic construction of sexuality. In the fifth place, we have sexist language. The sexist language is the stereotypes of women and men using language. For example, men are more rude using language. For example, using bad words and something like that. And women, no. That is the stereotypes of sexist language. Finally, can a language be sexist? I'm going to read a quote of the book that says the next. Most obviously, perhaps, in the semantic area, the English metaphors available to describe women include an extraordinarily high number of derogative image compared to those used to describe men by Ronald Wardow and Janet M. Fuller, 2014. That's a the language is exists. Just there is one example of that. So then the conclusion, language, gender, and sexuality, how can be useful for us as future teachers? The language have power. The language have power to be used in a good way and in a bad way. In a bad way, in the way to be offensive with the person. So as future teacher, we need to be carefully when we are doing the class or teaching. Don't use bad words, and the students know the power of the words that they will use in the future. So thank you so much. That is all for the presentation, and see you later.